Welcome to the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and on today's show, I'm going to tell you why the Washington Commanders is the worst place that UNC quarterback Drake Maye could end up in the 2024 NFL Draft. And if Maye is going to have success in the NFL, it likely won't be with the Commanders. Now, to be clear, I'm a fan of Drake Maye. I want him to succeed in this league just as much as the next guy. All right, so this video is not to bash Drake Maye as a prospect, rather the reasons why I believe that the Commanders are not the right fit for him and his development in this stage of his career journey. Now, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you're with me here and you want Drake Maye to succeed in the National Football League. Let me know down there in the comment section by clicking that thumbs up icon if you are wishing Drake Maye the best of luck in the National Football League. Now, let's get started here with my scouting report on UNC quarterback Drake Maye, because I do think he has a very intriguing a profile here, but he definitely has some very definable and very concerning red flags where he's going to have to go to the right place to develop him if he wants to be a successful quarterback in this league. So here's my scouting report here, man. Really good size. He's got all the tools that you look for, man. 6'4", great playmaking instincts. Of course, he has the arm talent that you look for, super strong arm, and he is a good athlete. He can get outside the pocket. He can run. He might not be like a dynamic rusher like a Jayden Daniels, for example, but he is certainly somebody that can get out there and get some extra yardage if you forget about him and you don't put eyes on the quarterback. But the cons here, very definable for me, guys. Footwork leading to accuracy concerns. I mean, the footwork is all over the place. You can tell it hasn't really been drilled into him. It hasn't really been taught to him at a high level there at North Carolina. And listen, footwork is one of the easiest things, or one of the more realistic things that a quarterback can enter the National Football League and get better at immediately, all right? So Drake Maye, his profile for me, if he fixes that footwork and he can maybe clean up the upper body mechanics a little bit, hopefully the accuracy will start to get better here, because right now there's like 5 or 6 throws a game on Drake Maye's film when you go through his season last year where it's like easy throws, 5-yard hitches, 5-yard out routes, throws that should be handoffs for starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. And 5 to 6 times a game, he's missing those throws. Super easy throws. And it's not just the short routes, guys. It's intermediate. It's deep down the field. Like the footwork and the upper body mechanical issues for Drake Maye affect his accuracy to all 3 levels of the field. And what he needs heading into the National Football League is a place that's going to develop that footwork, that's going to refine the upper body mechanics, and hopefully, because when that happens, the accuracy follows, and then the incredible playmaking instincts, the arm strength, the athleticism, all the things that are positives about Drake Maye's profile begin to shine, and some of the red flags begin to diminish, because really, guys, I do think Drake Maye could be a star quarterback in the National Football League. And now coming up here, I'm going to tell you why I think Drake Maye would probably fail with Kliff Kingsbury and the Washington Commanders if he was drafted number 2 overall. So before I get into that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. PrizePicks has specials for new and returning users alike for the start of the MLB season. When you head on over to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today. Football season may be over, folks, but the action on the diamond is just heating up. Get in on the excitement with our friends at PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your baseball knowledge into serious cash. The 2024 MLB season is now off and running, and you can pick more or less right now to make some money from the comfort of your couch while you watch your favorite team play. PrizePicks is simple. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in, especially if you know ball. Here's my projections for tonight's baseball action around Major League Baseball. Tonight, I'm going to take the less on strikeouts for Ronald Acuna Jr., the more on total bases for Shohei Ohtani, and I'm going to take the more on nasty Nestor strikeouts for tonight's games. You can check it out right now when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today for a first-time deposit of up to $100 today. Pick more or pick less. It's that easy with our friends at PrizePicks. Now let's get into it, guys. When it comes to my concern with Drake Maye. Like we said, he has footwork issues. He has some slight upper body mechanical issues as well, and he needs an offensive coordinator, a quarterback coach, a head coach, whatever the case may be, to develop that skill set in him so that he can flourish. And in my opinion, offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, Kliff Kingsbury, is not somebody that develops quarterback talent, at least not at a high level. Now, you might be saying, Jack, he's been around some of the biggest names in football over the last decade plus. Well, you'd be right about that, but let's go through them one at a time and some of the bigger names that he's been around. Let's start with Johnny Manziel, all right, who was kind of like his first guy that he was linked to, right? He is somebody that was completely backyard football, right? He did not stay in the pocket. He did not play with good footwork. He was not mentally processing defenses at a high level. He was going out there and he was playing backyard Johnny football style football, and he won the Heisman because of that. And Kliff Kingsbury was never able to get him to focus in, to become a very disciplined passer from the pocket. And because of that, or at least that's one of the reasons why Manziel never really developed into a good pro starting quarterback, because he was never developed in college. And then by the time he got to the pros, he kind of got used to the way he was operating. Then let's go to Patrick Mahomes, because this is the one that's always linked to Kliff Kingsbury. All right. When Mahomes was coming out of college, people were sure, they were 100% sure he was going to be a bust because he had some of the worst footwork that I've probably ever seen from a college prospect. I mean, it was all over the place. It was all backyard football. There was no rhythm. There was no footwork. There was no timing. There was no mental processing element to his game coming out, and that's with 3 seasons playing under Kliff Kingsbury. I mean, Kliff had this guy who is undeniably the best quarterback talent of our generation in his building for 3 years, and he did not develop him one iota. He entered the National Football League with Andy Reid, and in 1 season sitting the bench behind Alex Smith turned into arguably the best quarterback of our generation. That shows bad coaching on the part of Kliff Kingsbury. Number 3, Baker Mayfield. When did Mayfield win his Heisman Trophy? When he went to Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley, not with Kliff Kingsbury, where he didn't become Baker Mayfield until he got away from Kingsbury's coaching. Then we get to Kyler Murray, who, of course, Kliff coached in the pros with the Arizona Cardinals. To this day, Murray has extreme problems throwing the ball over the middle of the field because Kliff's offense targets outside the numbers. It's a lot of screen passes, all these different things. He did not develop Kyler to become a guy that could see over the middle of the field effectively, and that really hampered what the Cardinals were able to do offensively during their tenure. Then we get to Caleb Williams, the guy that he was the quarterback's coach just last year. What is the biggest knock on Caleb Williams that people give him? He's always outside the pocket. He's always playmaking. He's never playing within structure. Well, don't you think maybe if Kliff Kingsbury was good at his job as a quarterback's coach, he's like, hey, man, just stick in the pocket and do it more, because Caleb Williams, when he sticks within structure, is actually really, really good. All right, so all he needed was a quarterback's coach to be like, hey, man, maybe try to dial it back a little bit here and stay within the read and just take the 8-yard gain that's right in front of you instead of trying to bail out of the pocket and try to make a 30-yard play. And listen, man, don't get me wrong. Williams was capable of making those kinds of plays. He's phenomenal. But, I mean, let's just face it, Caleb Williams is not a super developed prospect in terms of staying within the pocket, going through his reads, all these different things, and that's something he needs to work on because his quarterback's coach, Kliff Kingsbury, just said, go out and play football, man. Go out and do your thing. And at the college level, there's really nothing wrong with that. Of course, if you have a super talented guy like Johnny Manziel, like Patrick Mahomes, like Caleb Williams, that style of coaching can work. But when you're bringing in a guy like Drake Maye who needs significant development in his footwork, in all these different things that he needs to work on heading into the National Football League, and then you put him in this air raid style of offense, which is super loosey-goosey when it comes to the footwork. I mean, compared to what these West Coast offenses are doing, where they're like, you're taking 5 steps and a hitch, and then you're throwing the football, Kliff is just kind of like, we'd like this to be 5 steps, but, if you want to make it 7 or whatever, go ahead and do that. It's like, that just doesn't work in the National Football League. So I really don't think that Drake Maye, who needs this refinement, who needs discipline, who needs structure, should be placed in this very, like I said, loosey-goosey style of air raid offense where he's kind of allowed to just roam and do his thing, where even though he's a great playmaker and all these different things associated with his game, The thing that he needs is structure. The thing that he needs is discipline, especially when it comes to his footwork. And I just don't think Kliff Kingsbury is going to be able to do that. And listen, man, it's always possible that I'm wrong here. Maybe Kliff Kingsbury has learned from his ways and all of a sudden has become a great quarterback development type of guy. And he's going to get his footwork right, and he's going to give him structure, and he's going to give him discipline within his footwork, and it's going to fix all of his accuracy issues, and Drake Maye's the next great Commanders quarterback, all right? Maybe I'm wrong on this. I've been wrong before, but based on everything that I've seen from Kliff Kingsbury throughout his career and based on everything that I've seen on Drake Maye on his college film, I think this would be a terrible pairing here that's only going to end in bad things for both Drake Maye and the Washington Commanders football team. So I think it's better if they just go out and get a guy like Jayden Daniels, who is a bit more polished in his upper body mechanics. His footwork is a lot better. He's a lot more of a finished product in terms of an NFL-ready guy that doesn't need to be coached up as much as somebody as Drake Maye. You look at my scouting report on Jayden Daniels, man, he is a super dynamic rusher. He brings that day one. He has great touch from his passes, particularly down the field where he throws with great accuracy and touch. Super catchable football. Jayden Daniels throws. It's not the biggest arm in the world. You know, Drake Maye's arm is definitely stronger than Daniels, but I like the way Daniels spins it. I like the way that he plays with good base and footwork and balance and all these different things. Now, he's not a perfect prospect by any stretch of the imagination, guys. He needs to throw over the middle of the field more often. When he gets to the National Football League, it was a lot of post routes and fades and go balls from Daniels there at LSU with the kind of wide receiver talent he had to work with. But man, if he can develop that passing over the middle of the field with the touch that he brings on his footballs, man, I just think this guy could be fantastic. Now, of course, he's slender. He takes a lot of big hits. He's going to have to learn how to protect his body at the next level. But when it comes to Jayden Daniels in this offense with Kliff Kingsbury versus Drake Maye in this offense with Kliff Kingsbury, I just think that Jayden Daniels is the better fit overall, and I don't think that he requires as much technical refinement as Maye does heading into year one of their respective NFL careers, which is why I would go with the LSU quarterback in last year's Heisman Trophy winner, because I do believe that he needs less refinement, and if you have an offensive coordinator that has a history of not developing quarterback talent, you need to get a guy that's already pretty refined as it is. And for me, that is Jayden Daniels. And not to mention, guys, I think he's a great scheme fit. You know, all these spread concepts, it's going to open up space for Jayden to use his legs in this system. So if we're going to be rolling with Kliff Kingsbury here, and we are heading into the first year of the Dan Quinn era, to get the guy, it's imperative that you get the guy that is going to give this team the best chance at success on the offensive side of the ball moving forward with the current offensive coordinator. And for me, that is Jayden Daniels, because of the ability to throw that deep ball down the field, because of the ability to use his legs for big gains, for his ability to decipher defenses, and all the things that he does that make him the number 2 overall quarterback prospect on this year's NFL draft, in my opinion. Now, take your pick down there in the comments section. If you're a Drake Maye guy, did I do a good enough job at convincing you that Jayden Daniels is the right guy for the Commanders moving forward? Type JD if you'd rather go with Jayden Daniels, or type DM if you're still riding the Drake Maye train here in Washington. So make sure you guys come back tomorrow. If you made it to the end of today's video, we're going to be doing my latest 7-round Commanders mock draft. I got multiple trades for the Commanders, so it's going to be very interesting. I think that I've got some really interesting moves for the Washington Commanders tomorrow that you're not going to want to miss. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got daily content on your Washington Commanders for free right here on YouTube. So I appreciate everybody that made it to the end of today's show. And until tomorrow, hail to the Commanders.